Hey guys, it's Andy. Hope you're kicking ass out there, wherever you are, just fucking killing it. I am excited to announce that we are releasing a new single on Friday. Yes. And because you're our podcast, we love to premiere a couple days early for you guys. So I'm going to show you a little sneak preview of a song called You Do You. You could actually pre-save this song. The link is in the bio of this podcast episode if you like it. I hope you do. We're really proud of it. It comes out Friday. So Chris, play the flutes, baby. It's going down. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you a world premiere of our new single, Andy Frasco and the UN, You Do You. All right, and we're live. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco. How's our heads? How's our minds? How we doing? Feeling good? Feeling great? Hope so. I feel good today. I'm a little high, so I'm like a little bit. Long travel day. I was at the bullshit. Man, that Dallas airport is bullshit. Fort Worth or something. The trains don't work, and no one knows the fuck's going on. We were running. We almost missed our flight. We probably would have missed the gig because there's not a lot of flights going to Bentonville. I'm like, fuck, we're running. Sean's pissed. He's got a shitty ass knee. He missed the train, so he had to run his ass from like 2 terminals away while the crew was just circling the train. The train wouldn't leave. I'm like, why are we just circling? This ain't a Disneyland ride. What the fuck is going on? And we were already like late to our, because we had like only like a 40-minute layover, and we're running. Felt like Keanu Reeves in Speed, like fuck. Like it's like, oh my God, is this train ever going to stop? But anyway, we made it. So shout out to Bo getting us there. Shout out to American Airlines. I don't really fuck with American Airlines, and they got us there. But anyway. We're here. We made it. Feeling good. Festival season is here. And speaking of festival season, volume.com. Yes, volume.com. They're going to be streaming a lot of shows this summer, I'm feeling. They've been killing it with the shout out to Volume, by the way. What a fucking live show. What a live stream. We're just finally getting our groove with them. But head over to volume.com. They got great shows that have been live streamed. They archive all of them. They're our podcast. If you want to see my haggard ass after traveling all day, head to volume.com and watch the show. And we got Theo Katzman in the studio. You should go check. You should watch some of the videos. Watch some of the videos if you don't. I know a lot of people listen audio. To just see the expressions on Theo's face. He's so enthusiastic about life, and like it changed his life. He's been doing these ice baths and shit. But if you want to watch it, put it on. Let you fall asleep or something. But anyway, back to volume.com. Watch some of these streams are going on. Volume.com is killing it. The quality is killer. And if you're a creator, if you're in a band and you want to do some live stream work or get some shows archived on there, might as well head to volume.com/creator. It's gonna help your career. I mean, it's new age now. You need to have your shows online. That's just what it is. So if you're a new band, get some fucking content out there, bud. Use volume.com. Get your content out there. Let's go. But yeah, anyway, it's festival season. I'm in that mode where it's like, oh, I'm stressed out. I haven't really thought about any of the festival sets, because I've been, balls deep in interviewing podcast people and getting ready to release an album. By the way, I hope you enjoyed the sneak peek of You Do You. I'm really proud of that song. The whole band is. I think hopefully we get some legs on that, because that song's important, because, we're talking LGBTQ. We got to take care of our queens and kings and theys and thems. We got to get all of them. We need to protect them. Shit's going down in this country, and we need to get them rocking. We need to support our people. And then what else? Oh yeah, Dialed In Gummies. Speaking again, hi. It's a short opening. The interview with Theo Katzman from Vulfpeck, and he's he's a solo artist, just put out a new record, is fucking awesome. And I didn't want to cut a lot, and it's kind of a long interview, so I'm going to keep this short. I'll have Nick with me in the studio next week. We'll shoot the shit. We'll shoot the shit for an hour and talk about what's been going on the last 3 weeks and the live stream, and that was a blast. New Orleans, you're the fucking shit. We'll talk about that next week. But Dialed In Gummies, Colorado. I know I tell you this all the time. All my people in Colorado, it's been great to go to Cervantes or go to the bars and say, Frasco, Dialed In Gummies, let's go. We're all on the kick. I'm like, yeah, thank God. Get with it, because Dialed In Gummies are the shit. The best gummies, rosin gummies, and they have all different strains from Colorado. So if you're like going to a show, going to Red Rocks, or you're going out, it's summertime in Denver. That's when everyone's coming out here to go to see the Red Rocks and the Fishes of the world, and all the other shit goes down in the mountains, shows in the mountains and shit. Go stop by a dispensary and ask for Dialed In Gummies. And also see if there's any World Saving batches left. I think it's all sold out, but there's a couple stores, I can't remember. Maybe Native Roots, or maybe, oh God, Kush Club might have some World Saving batches left. They're great. They're Lakers. They're great. I like them. I've been eating like a half one to go to bed, and that's all I need. I'm like, it's got the right dosage. So get yourself some Dialed In Gummies and get this shit popping. All right, we're gonna have a great show. We're gonna have a great week. It's fucking May. Summertime is here. We're feeling good. We're getting out those summer outfits. We're probably like working out and shit, getting ready for summer. Like, oh, I'm gonna be bad bitch this summer. Or I'm gonna be that man. I'm gonna be that dude this summer. You know what I'm saying? I feel you. Go get out there, get a sweat on, get your kings and queens shit on, and let's take over this goddamn summer. It's time. Time to wake up a little bit. We've been in that fucking December, winter, and then spring came really quick for a second, then it started fucking raining again or snowing. You're like, oh fuck, I thought I had them. I was coming out alive like a creature, like Then you had to go back in your house. Well, now it's time. It's time to fucking show people what vitamin D does to our body. We're gonna be happy. We're gonna be stoked on shit. We're not gonna be all depressed like winter gets you depressed, like fuck. We're gonna be stoked on that shit, because that's what we got. We don't know. It's always you got one time. What are we gonna do with it? We could convince our brain, like, hey man, I'm gonna be shitty today. I'm gonna be shitty. I'm gonna be fucking shitty. Fuck this. I don't care if the sun's out. I don't care if my homies are having fun, laughing and shit. I'm gonna be shitty. Or we could be like, I was shitty yesterday, but all my friends are having a good time. There's music in the air. The sun's out. Maybe you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna take the kayak out. Fucking do it. Gotta keep happy. You gotta keep inspiring yourself to keep going. Because the minute we get in the rut that we're fucking sad and blah blah blah, like fuck, we start getting sad, and we shouldn't get sad because we're alive. You made it. You made it. Your dick, not your dick. Your dad's dick had cum in it. This is Anatomy 101 with Frasco. Your mother, and that cum, there was billions of cums in that shit. There was tons of cum in his balls. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he was like kind of sterile and you had a couple left and you were like, fuck it, you're the last of the Mohegans. Your mom had tons of eggs. You swam You were like doing a marathon in your mom's body, just running like trying to find an egg. You know, it's like it's like Hunger Games. That sperm was like Hunger Games. Like, I gotta get to the end of this. And you got to that egg. You fertilize or whatever happens then, and you became you. 100 other some of that sperm did not make that path. Unless you're like a twin or like Octomom and shit. Like, shout out to Octomom. That shit's nuts. Shit's nuts. You know what I'm saying? You made it. So what are you going to do about it? Go have fun. Go have fun. Go kill it out there. It's summertime. Let's get crazy. Let's get whipped up. Let's try not to drink too much. That's why I've been on that kick. I'm like, I'm not going to drink that much. I'm like, don't feel good. I'm getting older. I see all the young bucks out there just fucking slapping the bag of wine and shit. I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have a couple beers, go get some sunshine, maybe I don't know, kayak or some shit. I don't know. I'm probably not kayak. I'm overjoyed. I'm like, just get some sunshine, Frasco. Put on your sunglasses. I might put some air in my bike and go just circle the neighborhood, see all the cougars in my neighborhood. Like, what's up, Miss Tanya? What's up? Hey, Miss Robinson, what's up, baby girl? How you doing? Man, that cookies you sent in my house was dope. All right, I'm already talking for 11 minutes. And I told myself this is going to be a short one. You know what I'm saying? Get out there, go have fun. Go be there, go get the vibes. Because that's all we got. That's what we got. We decide every day if we want to be sad or happy. So let's try to decide to be happy. I know I'm just like, but what if you're just super depressed and you just can't wake up from it? I get it. At least try to be happy. You know, if you try, then at least you dedicate your day to try to get yourself better out of that rut. And we just got to keep improving and keep, getting to know each other, getting to know ourselves. Because the minute we stop learning, I feel like we die. So if we keep learning about ourselves, keep learning, maybe we'll never die. Hell yeah. That's optimism. All right. There we go. I feel good. That pumped me up too. Theo Katzman. Let me pimp out Theo for a second. Hey, Chris, play some Theo Katzman's new record. That song about life. You know what I'm talking about. That song. I fucking love this song. Theo Katzman's killing it. He just put out a new record. He's in Vulfpeck. He wrote a lot of those songs like Back Pocket. He wrote all that shit for Vulfpeck. And we talk about the difference in kind of waking, like playing Madison Square Garden with Vulfpeck and then going into your solo career and playing still fucking big rooms, 1,500 cap rooms, 2,000 cap rooms, but like the adjustment of your mind of what success is. And I think this is a great conversation. So enjoy Theo Katzman. I love you. Next week we got Gerlach's. We got me and him. We're gonna talk for shit for an hour. I haven't talked to him in a couple weeks. I've been traveling, but it'll be good to see him. I saw him at the New Orleans thing, but that was like only for a day. All right, guys, I love you, and enjoy Theo Katzman. Theo motherfucking Katzman is in Denver. Let's fucking go. What's up, dog?
Frasco, what's up, man? How you doing?
Bro, big moves for you, dude.
Saving the world, man. One podcast at a time, dude.
Thanks.
World saving.
We're trying, man. You're saving the world one song at a time.
Oh, shit.
This new record is so good. I have so many questions.
Thanks so much, man. Hopefully I have some answers.
Okay. First off, tour bus, awesome.
Yes, agreed. What's up with that?
Are you sleeping more?
So, okay, right to the heart of the matter. That's the one thing I haven't really dialed in yet.
Yeah.
Is it's a little hit or miss depending on.
Right.
I don't know what we're all trying to figure that out.
Like what? You can't sleep when it's moving?
It's sort of like you can either sleep when it's moving or you can sleep when it's stopped. But whenever those things change, whenever the state, if there's this change of state,
like gas, like say the bus driver's got to get gas.
Yeah, there's. It's basically like you just wake up a few times a night. But I've heard people say that they get used to it eventually. I'm sure I will. It's still early enough in the tour where I've had one or two times where I actually just had some Southwest points, so I flew.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Like tonight, you're driving.
Yeah, I'm gonna fly to Dallas, but it's a game changer, man.
Right.
I know that you might be like, wait, if you're not sleeping as well, how is it a game changer? But it's allowed me to bring an amazing tech on the road, Mr. Cheeks.
Yeah, shout out.
Who I met working with Alan Stone, and Cheeks has been amazingly helpful because now we have somebody coordinating load in, load out, setting up the stage.
Wow.
We're able to deliver a much more dialed in show. It's like everything's there. I also have a merch guy on the road now, so I'm actually doing merch effectively. Thanks to Ricky. Thank you, Ricky.
Shout out to Ricky. And it's also nice because when you have hotels, you got to wake up at 7 a.m. to get to the next town. So you're going there at 1 a.m. and then waking up at 7. It feels like it's a waste of money.
It's gnarly. That's also gnarly on sleep in its own way.
Right.
And also, this is the first tour where like Joe Dart and myself aren't driving the whole time.
Oh, so you and Dart would drive?
We would just we drive, man. We're both like, I've driven across the country with Dart more times than I can count. Like we used to just drive without having a reason. We would be like, let's go to LA. And then, like,
is that like your best friend?
He's one of my best friends for sure. He's a brother. Yeah.
What's his vibe?
His vibe. He's amazing, man.
Yeah.
He's nobody really knows, right? People
Yeah,
like, what's
it's
his
such
vibe?
a mystery.
I think that's intentional.
Good.
Like he's international man of mystery, but one of the most warm, kind, highly intentional, impeccable with his word. Joe is like he's probably the least judgmental person I've ever met in my life. He throws no shade ever at anyone. I've never seen him throw an ounce of shade in private, even when trying to discern, like, hey, is so-and-so like, is this legit? Or, and he's like, well, man, I can understand. He's like he's seriously like, it's not a joke. He's like a very balanced, truly tapped in human. And I think that's part of his playing too, like he's Dart, man.
What about you? Are you tapped in like that?
I'm working on it. Yeah, Joe's an influence for sure.
Fucking bad, dude.
I think we're all kind of tapped into different things. I don't. Who knows if we'll ever know how much of this personality we shipped in with versus how much was influenced by our surroundings. But I certainly have a unique, personality, way things that occur to me, and that's one of the amazing things about being in community and what we really do out here as musicians is we get to be in community in these very deep ways. I mean, how many times have you had a door open to you because somebody's like, Andy, I love your music, man. Hey, come to the house. Or like, do you need dental work? Or, it's like, what? Like amazing the way that music can touch people and the doors it can open just out of true, genuine connection. So
you don't get that shit being an accountant.
Probably not the same.
Not the same.
Yeah. Although we need you accountants. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to the accountants. We're good. We ain't dogging on the accountants. We got no, but like, you brought up something that's pretty interesting to me. What I'm thinking too, like, is our conscious downloaded, or is it just because it's from our past lives?
Man, that's one of the questions.
What do you think?
I think, I first of all, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Number one. 2, I kind of highly doubt anyone could ever know.
Yeah.
3, now that we've established those things, it is not at all absurd to me to think that consciousness is just past life, constantly retaking form.
Right.
And honestly, part of the reason that seems plausible is because we know that energy is not created or destroyed. It's just transferred. So it's like, why wouldn't consciousness be? It seems like everything is just transferred, over and over again, like from the trees to, soil, mycelium, et cetera, et cetera. We see it in nature. So we tend to think of human beings as this like thing that's not in nature, which is completely hilarious to me.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Every single thing about us is nature.
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
I totally agree.
It's kind of funny. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I certainly feel like some of my experiences in the kind of like spiritual practice realm have led me to believe that, or have experiences where I'm in touch with a past trauma that I didn't even know was there, or something where I'm like, whoa, this was really deep somewhere in my being, or like, the Wim Hof method, the breath work that we do. Yeah. I've had my own experience getting in touch with, very deep past. Yeah. It's like, what is this from? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Cause I remember when we talked like 3 years ago.
Jeez, 3 years ago.
It was, bro. And you were in your apartment in LA. It was COVID.
Yeah.
And you're kind of having a hard time adjusting to that idea. So
2019 September, Vulfpeck played the Garden.
Yeah.
And it was like biggest gig any of us had ever done. And
right.
it was amazing, and there's also like a lot of stress that goes into just holding the space in your being, that holding the space where you're like sitting under the weight of like, are we going to like completely go bankrupt and have to like take out loans for the rest of our lives because we just tried to play a room that cost $1 million to turn the lights on and we didn't, and we sold 25 tickets. Like people don't really understand that, and I'm sure you deal with this too. Yeah, where people be like, "Oh, you're gonna do so great on tour," and you're like, "No, I know I'm gonna do great. Yeah. I believe in myself. Don't worry about that. It's not that. It's just whether or not like the free market of human attention is gonna shower me with the real Grammy, which is all the tickets sold." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's the whole game, and we really, as artists, we need to like. Really, I mean, to me, this is like this path of being an artist really requires a lot of spiritual practice.
I agree.
Because because you're dealing with ego, you're dealing with self. You got your name on the marquee. It's like, well, what product is for sale tonight? Oh, that one's called Andy Frasco. You're like, oh, let me wait 1 second. Let me take my birth certificate out. Oh, wouldn't you know? It's the same name on that thing. It's like, bro, shit. This is like. You're not selling like Nestle or like Norelco or
you're selling you.
You're selling you, and so that comes with its own set of challenges. And I think at the end of 2019, with the amount of added kind of like human attention focused on Vulfpeck, and me, wanting to find my way as a solo artist,
right?
I was sort of like. And then I did the biggest tour of my life as a solo artist following that up. But I had a lot of insecurities about whether people were showing up because they wanted to hear Vulf tunes or if they actually knew my music.
Right.
Because I had been doing my thing for about a decade prior, but it was gradually building, and it was gradually building in a way that I was totally happy with. But once the Garden thing happened, it was like, or the lead up to the Garden and all the stuff that happened with Vulf, it was like all of a sudden now I'm not playing. I'm playing a venue 3 times as big as the last one I played in New York. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like there was a certain amount of I just didn't trust yet from the feedback from the market, if you will, that my thing was actually worth that many tickets. So here we are playing Brooklyn Steel, which is 1,800.
Theo, your band played Brooklyn Steel?
Yeah, I sold out Brooklyn Steel. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's fucking go. Our boy's moving.
Yeah, baby. And we made a live record out of that show, actually. It's called Modern Johnny Sings Songs in the Age of Live. And
you're fucking so brilliant, dude.
Yeah, thank you. And it was at Brooklyn Steel. It was a great concert, and people were singing along the whole show, and it was amazing. And I was totally thrilled with that. So there was nothing wrong with any of this. It was just the reason I kind of burnt out after that tour was over is I had been living under the stress of like feeling like this isn't going to work for so many months.
Right.
When the tour is booked and you're going like, man, the last show we sold out Music Hall of Williamsburg. That's like what, $750. And that was tremendous for me. I grew up in New York, tremendous achievement. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it again. Or like, I don't know, let's do like 1,000 tickets. And then the agent's like, you're going to 1,800 tickets. And you're like, there's no way I can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just living under the weight of that pressure was I just noticed once that tour ended, and it ended abruptly because COVID just hit.
Were you able to finish the tour?
No, we lost the last 3 shows, which honestly I'm grateful that was only 3 because I have friends. I'm sure you do. I mean, maybe you were even about to go out for probably.
I finished my tour a day before COVID.
March 14th?
March 13th was my last show.
Look at you. Wow, bro. So you and I we're like the 2 acts that were out that early that year.
And I was kind of going through the same thing where it was like my band was just starting to pop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the world stopped.
Yeah, so that was intense. It was intense for everybody, but yeah, so that was why I think mainly I was having a hard time is I kind of had to make that adjustment in my mind that just trusting that people were actually coming to these shows to hear this music,
Were you afraid people were going to forget about you?
I wasn't with COVID. I mean, yeah, I was there. There was a fear there for sure. But as I've learned with most fears, it's like you got to run at the fear, man. You got to like sink into the fear and like really let it penetrate you, such that you don't worry about it anymore.
Right.
You know, you got to do it anyway. So for me, with the idea of like, are people going to forget about me? I was certainly, there was that fear, but then it's like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And if you're in a mode in your life where you're like, right now, I'm kind of depressed, and I know that I need to sort of like seek grounded calm.
Yeah.
And that's the next step for me, no matter what I do. Then, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about the fact that people might forget about you? What are you going to fling chunks of steak at the internet every day and be like, hey, everything's fine.
We're good, brother.
Like, I couldn't, you know, I tried to do that and it just didn't work. Yeah, I couldn't do it. So for me, I just went into that time, basically took the forced time off as like a forced, you know, emotional reset. And then, you know, I ended up just writing a bunch of songs that ended up becoming my next record. So ultimately, you know, I was really grateful for that time. It was painful.
Yeah.
There was a lot of uncertainty, but you know, in times of tremendous uncertainty, it seems like that's consistently where a deeper foundational confidence is born, because you realize, like, you know what, I'm not going to die.
Right.
So what if everybody forgets about me? So what? Why am I even doing this? Am I doing this so that everybody will know about me?
Yeah.
No, that's not even why I'm doing it.
No.
Okay, well then why am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it to honor the gifts that I have been given, and I'm doing it to, you know, find out more about who I am as a person, so that I can show up as a better person in the world. And if I do that effectively, such that the music I write actually inspires me, chances are it's going to inspire somebody who connects with it as a listener.
I agree.
And so to me, that's where music, you know, the sort of artist path becomes a service to humanity. It's not like, you know, there's one way to do it where you're just trying to make sure you sell more headbands, or like you want to sell more Reeboks or whatever. And I'm not knocking Reebok either. No. By the way, I appreciate having shoes.
Yeah, part of the game.
Yeah, the game thing. And, or you can do it for, you know, your own sort of spiritual growth, and knowing that if you can do that, you're going to connect with more people. It's going to be a stronger, the connection anyway will be stronger. And you know what? Typically, you'll sell stuff.
Right. Well, it's like people are afraid, like it's like the idea of authenticity. Like, people can see when you're not being authentic with your music.
I know, man. Totally. And it's something we all have to face as artists, probably in every endeavor in life. But and I don't know. Here's my little take on it. My take has always been like, if you can make more money more quickly doing someone else's thing or copying it or whatever, but there's a ceiling.
Right.
And it's not that big. Or you can try to go do your own thing, and it might take a lot longer, or you may never make any money. But the ceiling is the Beatles.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, that's pretty big.
Is that how you felt about Vulfpeck?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Vulf is like, I think it's very easy for somebody to look at Vulf now. Anytime something is like, once it's communicating, it sort of is defined.
Yeah.
So people go like, oh yeah, it was the Vulf thing.
Yeah.
You know,
it's kind of like, it's like, oh yeah, he was, exactly.
But it's like, you know, Vulf was zero for, I don't know, 6 years.
Right.
It was just a once a year meetup with an aim of being as weird as we felt we were. And that was completely natural. And it was like, you know, and it was not just once a year meetup. It's like a 10-year friendship, you know, between us. And it's also Jack's,
brainchild.
True. Well, it's yes, but also like Vulf is, you know, in as much as it's music or it's a band, I hope people also are aware that it's also us all witnessing like the true, brilliant, like 3-dimensional art, marketing, financial gimmick. Yeah. Like Jack is one of the brilliant artists of our time.
I know.
And like, to be aware of Vulfpeck is to like be witnessing, you know,
Jack's brain.
Yeah, like a series. I think of him as like, he's Steve Jobs, man. He's Steve Jobs, but he's as funky as Purdy. It's like if Steve Jobs was, you know, were funky. Like, I mean, okay, we all, Purdy's the king. So, but you know what I mean? Like it's to me, that's a huge part of the beauty of Vulf. And I don't know if people realize that, but it's like, so sometimes people are like, why doesn't Vulf do this or that? And I'm like, they don't know that ultimately the way that project works, and this is by design, is like whatever is exciting, thrilling, edgy, risky for Jack is like, that's what Vulf will be.
Yeah. It's like that klezmer record he put out and stuff.
Yeah, and like Jack is no joke, man. He's funny, but he ain't a joke.
Oh, he's serious.
Jack's like, I mean, and he's one of my best friends, and I'm just it's been a total honor and a thrill to have a front row seat in his process and to be a part of his process. I mean, a lot of it's collaborative, but it's like
he's the final say.
Yeah, yes, and it was always that. It was not like there's no rub at all there,
Yeah, but like, with that being said, do you like being your own boss?
Well, yeah, in terms of my project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I set out to be a singer-songwriter and write my own music, and so I just kept doing that, still doing it. It was never like, oh man, I need more power in Vulf. It was like we were just doing those things concurrently.
Right.
And it was always the understanding.
So the idea of Katzman going out solo was in your brain since you were like 12, 11, right?
Yeah, I've just been writing songs and like, this is just what I do.
What was the first song you ever wrote? What was it about?
The first song that I ever wrote that I was proud of was called, that's an interesting question, man. It was called The Wall Divine. And it was really inspired when a friend of mine, Timothy Miller, who was a wonderful, amazing dude. Kid in New York. He died tragically from a dairy allergy.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was the first big tragedy in my life.
And how old were you?
I was 16.
Oh,
yeah, we were all.
Fuck,
yeah,
man.
it was tragic. And
he was close to you.
Yeah, we were
Boys.
childhood friends, but we were homies growing up, and I think it and he and I always had a strong connection with music. He was really into Grateful Dead, and he got me into the Dead, and he got me into all kinds of. He was a kid who like knew records and listened to stuff, and I was playing musical instruments, but I was always like also an athlete, and like I was just kind of running with the pack.
Yeah.
In high school, whatever, playing sports.
Were you competitive?
I was. I don't think I realized how competitive I was until I got to college, and I wasn't the best kid in the music program anymore.
I hear you.
And then I had a meltdown, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Really?
Oh yeah, I was like, I
What happened?
Well, what happened was I heard. Well, so to answer the first question is, I wrote that song inspired by Tim and his life, and I got to play it. I was in a cover band, and I played that song, and everybody was like, wow, that was really good, and then they wanted to hear it, and then we would be playing parties on Long Island, and we play Sweet 16s or graduation parties, and then people started requesting that, and I started writing others, and then we sort of were, started playing original music. So it never occurred to me even that there was even an option to be a singer-songwriter. It wasn't even that dialed. It was just like, I write songs, I sing them, and I sing them in my band.
Right.
And then but I was also always a drummer, and because drums were my first instrument. So I was like playing drums in the school band and the jazz band. And when it came time to like think about college, I was like, well, I should probably be in the music program. So I'll audition on my main instrument, which is drums, because there wasn't any like singer-songwriter program at anywhere but Berkeley. And for some reason it hadn't occurred to me to go to Berkeley.
You went to Michigan, right?
I went to Michigan. So I ended up, getting into the jazz program on drum set. And I was able to get a scholarship, which was amazing. And then I get to the program and I basically say, within 3 weeks, I'm like, guys, I don't want to play jazz drums. I'm a singer-songwriter. And they're all like, well, what are you talking about? We
need you playing drums.
We like recruited you for this. And so...
And was that hard to like be truthful with the people who recruited you for that, or you always been like honest about however you feel? I
tend to snap and just tell the truth.
Yeah.
If I'm I'm hiding my deeper, I'm not a very good actor when it comes to that.
With lovers.
Oh yeah, that's why I can't. I guess this is now we're getting into it. Yeah, but it's like it's pretty much got to be like a deep connection, or it's not going to happen for me. Just because it's too obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
it's
the same way,
what
bro.
am I doing? You know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So sometimes people are like, "Oh, why are you? Oh, you're single." And it's like, yeah, I'm just, I'm waiting for, and it's not like I'm not interested. It's just like, it's got to be something
perfect.
Well, I mean, I know that it won't be perfect, but like I think, I'm just interested in deep. I'm interested in depth. So that's a little more rare.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean, we normally go do things because either we're lonely or we're just like want to pick something fast. Right.
Yeah.
We don't take a lot of people don't take their time to really find out what between the connection you want with someone and the connection you want with yourself.
There you go. You just said the first part is the second part there.
Right.
It starts with the connection you have with yourself. And how are you going to get that if you're never alone?
Exactly.
And so, this is the greater joke to me of the human condition, is that like we're wired to, feel bad about loneliness, or like, we don't want what we don't want. We don't like what we don't want.
Right.
We don't like pain. We don't like sadness. We don't like these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to avoid them. But if we avoid them, we never grow in the ways that they would have otherwise grown us into. Like, you want to have a foundation in yourself. I think you got to be alone for a little while.
I agree. 100%.
And if you want to be able to do things that you're scared of, you need practice sitting with your fear. And if, you know what I mean? So it's, to me, like, it's not a judgment on anyone, but I've just learned that anytime I feel lonely, it's an opportunity. Ram Dass, I think, said,
"Oh, I love Ram."
Yeah, like suffering is all it's doing is showing you where you're stuck.
Yeah.
So anytime you're suffering, and it's like, wow, that's such a trick you can, you know what I mean? If you can actually catch the moment of like, I'm suffering.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Right.
And then you're like, oh, we didn't sell all the tickets.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on a second. Let's go there. What does that actually mean? And you go down the rabbit hole of that and you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. I just want to be liked.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I can have compassion for something that wants to be liked. What would you say to your friend?
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, it's okay, bro. I love you, man. And do you love yourself? And he'd be like, yeah, well, and you go, oh, not sure? Well, that's where you got to do the work then.
Yeah. Why are we so afraid to love or give ourselves advice versus giving everyone else advice?
Okay, I mean, who knows? But I've thought a lot about this.
Come on, give it to me.
Well, the human animal, which we are, is designed to survive. Right. Everything is designed to survive.
Right.
What seems to separate us from the rest of the animal kingdom is that we have this tremendously capable brain. Mm-hmm. So we have this like level of brain capability that is like off the charts compared with the other animals in terms of our communication skills and et cetera.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so then you take that and you go, what's the means by which we have really been able to survive and get through, to this place we're at? And the main difference there is we cooperate and trade with each other. We we build upon each other's skill sets.
Yeah.
So like you don't need to know how to design the combustion engine because it's been invented. So now it just gets integrated into the global sort of humanity is this kind of shared brain. If you will.
Animals don't have that.
I mean, I'm not a biologist, and maybe somebody will point out the way I'm totally wrong about this.
Or like a beaver. Let's talk about a beaver building a dam with his people. Like, does one person know how to cut the inside? One person pushes it.
Animals have highly complex, incredible systems of management and communication. I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the human thing is we are a social being to the max.
Okay.
Versus, let's say, an animal that, is not a pack animal. I mean, there are plenty of animals that are pack animals. There are plenty of animals that aren't. We're a pack animal. Yeah. So it is tremendously important for us to know that we are well esteemed by the community.
Right.
Because that equals survival in the Stone Age. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why it's hard for humans to be alone.
Yes. And it's also why we are so socially freaked out if, oh my God, is my red shirt too red?
Right.
What are they going to think of me? And you go, why do you care what
they
you
going to
think
think of me?
And the reason that what are they going to think of you is important is because in the Stone Age, if they didn't think that well of you, you would be like left behind, which means you'd be like dead.
Yeah.
You see?
True. Yeah.
So it's not as simple as saying, hey, don't care what other people think. It's like, well, I'm wired to care. I have what you might call like a highly tuned sociometer. So does everyone. Mm-hmm. And maybe people with different kind of personality situations, we call them like, maybe they're on the spectrum or something, as we say like, oh, they don't perceive the same level of social awareness. It's like sometimes that can be a superpower for someone because they don't care as much about what people think of them.
Right.
But often the people who are like the quote kindest or whatever, they often have the greatest degree of social awareness, and then they end up being hardest on themselves because they're so highly attuned to what people might think of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that goes back to like, why is it so hard for us to extend compassion to ourselves versus others?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, is because your brain needs to make sure that whatever it needs to tell Andy Frasco to keep Andy Frasco alive and in line socially, it's going to tell him.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That totally makes sense.
And so it's like, Theo, you didn't play funky enough. You didn't get the thing right enough. The song's not good enough. A major, you've already done one in that key. It's like, it's an endless insanity if you let the mind run the show.
So what do you do to not let the mind run the show?
Yeah, well, this is where I think, the ancient spiritual practices of like meditation, cold water immersion.
You do
breath
that?
work. Yeah. I've gotten really into the Wim Hof method. Yeah.
Like ice baths?
Yes, sir.
Shut the Theo.
Yeah, baby, let's do it. No, that's my favorite. I'm getting to the point of people being like, all right, enough about the ice bath. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've done 2 retreats with Wim Hof in Europe, and
what?
Yeah. I'm really into it.
Like, what were you going through to make you feel like you needed to like kind of cleanse yourself through an ice bath?
Well, I was just, I had gone on a road trip. I got a van in California. I fell in love with a van.
When during
this
COVID?
Was during COVID. And I guess I was one of the early.
What kind of van? I love vans.
Chevy G20,
Let's
baby.
Go. I love it.
Yeah.
You just lived in it?
94. I lived in it for a little while. I didn't like build it out. I just kept it as is because it's got this like gorgeous interior. It's actually what's on the cover of my record is that van.
Oh, really? You still have it?
Oh, yeah.
You still rock it?
Hell yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's my car, dude. That's my car, bro.
I'll clap to that, actually. Let's go.
Man.
Save that money.
Yeah,
Save that
dude.
money, Big Daddy.
Gotta have that van. So I got the van. I drove to Michigan, and I was on a sort of a soul searching trip, and just trying to sink into the alone time, and really like, it didn't seem like music was going to come back at a certain point.
Right.
Maybe that sounds crazy to say.
No, I thought that way too.
It just felt like everything was dying, and I just like, I rolled with it. I was like, all right, it's all over. Okay, now what? Yeah. And it was painful, and I had to really like, I thought even if it isn't over, I'm going to just like go with this because it's going to teach me something. And yeah, a friend of mine invited me to jump into a frozen lake one day, like, and I, for 2 seconds, and I was like, wow, I did it. And it was great. And then I felt really warm afterwards, and I felt like super invigorated. And I was like, man, that's amazing. I said, they don't tell you about the warmth that comes afterwards. Like, they don't tell you about that. And he's like, yeah, man, you know about Wim Hof? And I said, no. And then he started telling me about Wim Hof. And then I looked up a documentary on Wim. And
which one should I watch?
I watched the one, Vice did a little mini doc on him. At this point, there's a lot of, it's kind of all the rage, ice bathing. But Wim is a really inspiring guy with an amazing story. And just started to occur to me that like this ice bathing thing was really it was a way that people were like really tapping into their inner power and finding access to like their sort of self-love. And I mean, it might sound trippy, but like the ice is love, man.
Yeah.
It's really like, because when you have to go into a situation where you are experiencing like primal fear.
Yeah.
But it's controlled. You have to find a place where you accept this. And the place that accepts this in you is the place that's much deeper than your mind. And it's like, Andy, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And when you hear I don't even know what to call it. It's not even yourself. Yourself is in your mind.
Yeah.
The ego's in the mind. This is like the you. That's the universal awareness you.
Yeah.
That
What do you
just
think
goes
that
like,
is?
Andy, you're going to be okay. And then you come out of the ice bath and like, all right, what the fuck we got to do today? What do we got to do? We got to write a song.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's hard. That's actually harder in a lot of ways, but at least, hey, you write it. You go, what are you going to do? Be afraid of what someone's going to think of it? He's like, well, I just survived the edge of death.
Yeah.
So like, whatever, you know? So to me, the ice bath is like a way to bring intimacy with fear, intimacy with death into your life.
So you
in a
get rid
safe
of it?
way. No, that's just so that it's not holding you back. You know, if you think about this initial question, like, why are we so hard on ourselves? And we say, well, it's because it's a survival mechanism from the Stone Age. And then you go like, well, how is it serving me now? And you go like, well, it's no longer keeping me from getting cast out of the village because there's not really the same kind of village where it's like, if somebody doesn't like my song, I'm not going to get left behind to die. Right. So,
but you used to think like that.
You have that in your brain that's the foundational mechanism.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, and these tools we use, social media, it hijacks that mechanism and sells our insecurity back to us. And that's why it's addictive. Yeah. It's not kind of addictive. It's completely addictive.
Yeah.
You know, like Instagram is addictive. I've said this before on a podcast. I'm not even pointing fingers here because we all use this technology, but like it is my understanding that the people who founded Instagram were in Stanford's first addictive design course.
Holy shit.
So like it's not, the shit works.
Right.
It's like, oh, do you have a human brain? Yeah. This works on you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm not so, maybe there's 10 people who don't find it addictive, you know, like, but it's like,
it's extremely addictive.
Yeah. And it's like, so are cigarettes for many people. So is processed food. So is success. Yeah. There's like, these are all, very predictable, phenomena that we see from just understanding the human motivation system.
True.
So yeah, I mean, when it gets back to like, how is my fear of death serving me in 2023 socially? I think for the average person, it's like holding them back from living their truth, from doing what they want to do in life, from taking a risk. You know, it's like, that's not serving you at all. So if the ice bath can like sort of take you on a roller coaster past your fear and it's free.
Yeah. Fucking do it.
Fucking A, dude. I'm going to scream about it from the hilltops. You know, it's the most tremendous thing I've ever discovered.
Yeah. I don't know if I could be full of shit right now, but I remember you like, you know, it was like the idea of like, you want like be on a big label, be a big thing for your thing. And now like looking back now, you have your own label. You started your own label.
Yeah.
You're doing your own thing. You're not you're not relying on other people to, you know, the idea of what is success, you know?
Yeah, man.
Like the idea of getting a label, getting a bus, you know, you're putting success in your own terms. Or
yeah, man. I think we have to, you know, I mean, because you go out, you try your best to do the thing you set out to do, but a lot of times you don't really know what that is until you've done some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you and I both had a dream as kids to be musicians, to play our songs in front of the world. What does that mean? You know, well, at a certain point, you know, if somebody were to be like, hey, Andy, my name's so-and-so attorney. You press a button and I can put you in front of the world stage. If you're 15, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You don't know what that means, you know, and it might mean that you'll never own it might mean you've signed a contract of indentured servitude for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Who knows? Like, I'm not saying that's what all deals are because it's not, but, you really need to go out there and find out what it even is that you want to do. And once you know what you want to do, if you've had enough experience to know what doesn't work or what doesn't feel right, then you can start just going for shit, you know? So it's like, I want to have my own label. So I have my own label. Yeah. What is it? It's a label. Well, what's a label? It's a sticker. It's a label. You know what I'm saying? It's a little label. It's a little label you put on a guitar case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a brand. It's a sticker. It's like, is it going to grow into something? I think so, because it's a set of values, of musical values, of artistic values. It's a principle thing. It's a network. It's me and my my virtues that I care about in music making, that I want to, create a place on the internet in the world to understand like the stuff that I work on. I think of it as like organic, the certification.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's organic? Okay, cool. I'll eat it. And this is like, 10 good songs certified? Yeah, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry. It's a good album.
Yeah.
We certified it for you.
So how hard was it to convince your managers this is the move?
So I don't have a manager.
So you're doing it yourself.
So there you go. Didn't have to convince nobody.
Do you like it that way?
I do, but I mean, Andy, you're one of the guys that it's impossible to not be completely honest with all the time.
Come on, talk to me. Buddy, I got you.
So, I've had, I've gotten to work with some really good people in that realm before, and I felt like mainly I didn't really know what I wanted yet, and now I have a much better vision, and I have much more experience in the business, so I'm now kind of open to management. Yeah. Really, I feel like for the first time, really, in a real way. So I'm having some conversations and kind of just like feeling stuff out. Yeah, because I'm not against it. It's more just like I needed to understand what I actually wanted to do so that I could give some direction to say like, hey, this, and this. Not only am I not interested, but it's gonna like hurt my ability to make my best work. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I need to be able to clearly articulate that to somebody if they're gonna try to go get opportunities for me. You know what I mean? I didn't know what those things were until the last couple of years. So now I feel like I'm actually ready for it. And if in the future it means that there's a label that I partner with, I'm not opposed to that either. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I maintain my, not only like my vision, but also like, this is a business, and it turns out ownership has a translation to your happiness. It's not just money, man. Yeah, I know. It's like, what happens if you make $100,000 and give away 98? Yeah, it feels bad. Oh yeah, turns out. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Oh yeah. And it's like, until you've had that experience, you don't. You know what I mean? You're just like, whatever. It's just money. It's like, it's not just money. It's your name, your values, and your blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, if you know what I mean. So it's, to me, my and also I come from the Vulf model. I come from Jack's. Yeah, Jack had internet
Vulf records.
And like I've been side by side. I've had a front row seat to that. So when people would be like, well, why are you trying to be indie? I'm like, well, I mean, Vulf, did this and that. And they'd be like, yeah, but that's Vulfpeck, man. And I'd go, yeah, but I'm in the band, man.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I mean? So, but I get what they were saying, and to a certain extent, they're right. It's like Vulf is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. It's a phenomenon, and it's an amazing thing. And
but the model is there. That the model of success is there for anyone to do it.
Yes, I think the principles are like sound. It's like, if you're starting out in this business, I think you should just go out there, do your best, and see what happens. Like, why not start indie? Right. Start indie. Yeah. You don't even know if your songs are any good, or you don't even know if you can sell 10 tickets in your own hometown.
Exactly.
Like, start indie. I feel good about saying that to people, but I can understand now that if there's I have the door open in my mind to, like, if there's the right kind of partnership where somebody says like, look, your music should be in these places, and it isn't because you don't have anyone pitching to it. Right. Well, I'm open to have someone doing that as long as the deal is fair. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm not like opposed to it. I just, when people would be like, have you ever considered a label? It's like, yeah. And they're like, why aren't you on one? It's like, well, I never got an offer. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, it wasn't that I was against it. It was just like
nothing.
It's not there yet. And I'm, doing, like, I played the Wiltern last week, and
that's
sold out the
for
Fillmore,
LA.
and we just did the Ogden Theater in Denver, and it's like, those rooms are big, and people are singing every word to every song, and I don't have a manager and I don't have a label. So I wanted to get to this place
For
first,
yourself.
for myself. Yeah,
to know that you could do it without anyone.
Yeah, man. And I know I've been very lucky because I also have my other band Vulfpeck, and that's just, that has shown a
Are
tremendous
you guys
light.
still doing stuff too, right?
Oh yeah. It's there's always if you haven't heard anything from Vulf for a while, like be warned. There's always there's something coming around the bend all the time, But yeah. So
did you have to tell Jack to like I need for my own personal mental being like I need to have enough time for I could do my thing too? Or has that always been given?
It's always been given, and I've reiterated it a few times, not because anybody else was confused about it, because I was confused about it.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy? Like you feel like you're like indebted to having to do all this time without splitting it?
Well, it's like, I think it goes back to that thing we've been talking about. The theme of this episode is like our psychology and how that works, you know? And that's why the most important thing for me is to have communication with the people I love and and work with. It's like, if we're understood there, then like, we can hold each other throughout the stresses and the meltdowns and the joys of this. Because there are many. I mean, you know that. It's like, it's not easy to like, it's thrilling to like tour and, do all these things, but it's not only is it hard work, but it's like bizarrely triggering psychological work.
Oh yeah.
Like the stuff we're talking about with the ego trap or feeling like, oh, by the way, another thing about that is that what happens if your esteem rises too high without your self-esteem rising? Mm-hmm. So the self-esteem is a result of your internal audience observing you doing the work. That's why like when people...
Hold on, say that again.
Yeah.
Explain that to me again.
So esteem versus self-esteem.
Okay.
Here's esteem. Esteem is Andy being like, hey, bro, I love your songs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. If I get a song on the radio and everybody loves it and I get 1,000 Facebook messages, I go, we love your song. That's esteem, right? Okay. But if I didn't really write it, if I just sort of like sang it into my phone once and didn't really try, and I might have a very big difference between the amount of esteem I'm getting and the amount of self-esteem I have over whether or not I'm a songwriter. You see?
Got you.
This is why the one-hit wonder is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because if somebody gets a band when they're 19, they write one song, it becomes a global smash, and it was the first song they ever wrote. Let's say that happened.
Right.
There's no way in hell your nervous system will feel that you are a songwriter.
Right.
That's like taking one shot at the basket one day and winning the NBA championship.
Right.
It's like, what?
Right.
I can't play basketball.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like the same analogy you said about the hunter.
Exactly. So what happens when the esteem is too high is that you can only either meet expectations of others or fail.
Yeah.
See, there's no exceeding it.
Yeah.
If you're Michael Jordan and you've won 3 championships in a row, everybody just expects you to win.
Yeah.
It's boring if you win.
Yeah.
Or you can do what they don't expect, which is fail, right?
Yeah.
There's no room for you to burst through people's expectations, exceed them.
That's why I went to baseball.
There we go, baby.
Yeah.
You said it, not me, but it's part of it,
sense.
and I'm not going to tell him I don't know what Michael Jordan's going on in his brain, but that's a part of the thing. He goes to baseball. Everybody thinks he's a has-been. He comes back. They're like, whatever, MJ doesn't have it anymore. And he's like, watch this.
Yeah.
And then he's motivated again.
Yeah.
And you could look at that and say, oh, too bad he's motivated by what other people think of him. It's like, well, that's what human brains are motivated by.
Yeah.
Now, the trick is to learn that that's what's happening and then try to do your best to make a decision to not let that run your life. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it does help to understand this motivation mechanism. And people are completely lost as to this. And I feel grateful that I've learned that this feels to me very accurate as far as how human motivation works.
Well, and it kind of like brings I'm sorry comparing your career with Vulfpeck's career,
no, it's okay.
But like, the idea of, you guys blowing up with Vulfpeck when it was kind of like Jack's baby versus is that the idea of self-esteem and esteem? Like you didn't feel like you had as much with that?
Yeah. I mean, I hope this is coming off as like, there's nothing but love and respect in this. This is like
100%.
And I know that I've been I can be more honest with you than the average person here. So, but, and luckily we're broadcasting it to the world.
Yeah. But it's not even about like fuck that. It's more of like how your ego reacts to success.
Exactly. So I know that I wrote, like I wrote Back Pocket with my friend Christine Huckle, and that's our biggest song.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know what I've contributed. I know what I've sung on. I know Christmas in LA. I've done there's things I've contributed to, and I understand that I'm a big part of the show and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But my nervous system in those years of calculating that success wasn't. I wasn't spending those 8 hours a day on that. Jack was.
Right.
Those were his 8 hours. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like I was spending 8 hours on writing my songs.
Right.
So to speak.
Right.
That so for me it was just a confusing that was just part of the there was confusion there for a little while.
Totally.
Where I was like, man, yeah, it was just that was a challenge. It also was amazing and beautiful, and I'm grateful for it, and it was tremendous. And I met all these so many doors opened that ended up being like, yo, we love you, Theo. Like, what do you want to do? Oh, and then oh wow, we love your new record, like your solo record. It's been nothing but the most positive thing possible. But I had to realize that like. When there was a lot of opportunity coming at Vulf, it was sort of like we were drinking from a fire hose. It was like a lot of, as a band blows up, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of drop everything and tend to that. And that was just like scary for a little while because it was like, well, what if I lose myself?
Did you ever become an asshole?
I've been an asshole to myself. I don't think I've been an asshole to others generally.
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to ask other people.
What would you consider being an asshole to yourself?
Just being too hard on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we're lucky, I think we all kind of burn out on that.
Yeah.
Like the sort of toughness can be fuel, but in my life, it only goes so far. Like I've maxed out on the like, fuck you, Theo, you can do better.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't really yell at myself in that way. I have to just be like, hey man, would you like to do better?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay. Well then wake up early, be sober, go in there, do your best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really having the courage to sit down at the piano and perhaps come away with nothing.
Yeah.
Is important. That's an important part of songwriting. It's an important part of any craft process.
Was that the approach you took for this new record?
It's just sitting down and waiting.
Not like, or just like,
oh yeah,
you got to do better. But
no, I didn't. I let go. Yeah,
you let go of that.
I let go of it, man.
And you could fucking hear it in the tracks.
I'm so glad to hear that because I felt like this is my best album.
Yes,
and it's not that the others aren't very good. I think they are actually great, and the songwriting is like impressive and whatever in some cases. But I this one is the one that's the most loving because I was in the most loving place towards myself, and I think it kicks even more ass as a result. So the idea that you need to beat yourself up in order to be like,
it's not really overproduced
bullshit.
either.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I don't feel it is either at all. It's very honest. Everything was done live, no headphones, one full take with no edits at all.
What?
Every single thing.
No overdubs, nothing?
No, overdubs, yes, minimal overdubs, but no edits. So in other words, full band performance from drums, lead vocal, whatever instrument I'm playing, and all keys and bass. Everything you hear is one complete take. It might have been take 9.
Jordan, Dart. Yep. So hold on. So where's that? You're putting out all those videos from that kind of like studio thing. Was that where you recorded it?
Yes. What you're seeing in the video is the filmed full take of that exact audio that is on the album.
Shut the up.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that was
Theo.
Thanks, man.
Are you for real?
I'm dead serious, bro. Yeah, and it's all on tape.
Was that like the idea in the beginning?
Yes, that was the concept.
Okay, what made you think about this concept?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked. So,
are we? You got time?
Oh yeah, man.
Okay.
I love it. The concept there was that over the years, I started noticing like I really tap into a different level of commitment when I'm live.
Yeah.
Like shows, You know, like people will leave the shows and be like, wow, man. You know, and I love the studio as well. And I love recording. Nothing against the studio, but I noticed that I seem to be more potent live.
Yeah.
So on my last record, Modern Johnny Sings, Songs in the Age of Vibe, I
fucking awesome.
Thank you. I did 3 tracks live band in the studio where we each were in a different isolated, you know, sound booth. But we cut it live. And I just noticed that those 3 songs, it was You Could Be President, I Don't Want to Be a Billionaire, and What Did You Mean When You Said Love? Those 3 were my favorites on the album.
Right.
And they also did the best on Spotify.
Isn't that crazy?
And so I was like, shit, maybe there's something here.
Did you feel like that old record was a little overproduced, the first one?
Heartbreak Hits? Mm-hmm. I don't feel like it's overproduced, but I feel like it's a little chained in because I did that record to click playing the drums to everything first. So the first thing I did when making Heartbreak Hits is find a tempo and play a drum track with nothing else in my ears. Like I recorded the drums for the whole album first and then made the rest of it. So point is, and I love that album. I think the songs are great. And
great songs.
And I think the production is appropriate for it. And my friend Tyler Duncan, who produced it, is a genius. And like, I think he completely smashed it on that album out of the park. It's more that, you know, I did it via overdub.
Yeah.
You know, which is nothing against it.
Yeah, it's
I
just a different way to do it.
For me, I was like, wait a minute. I really want to try going all the way with this live in studio thing. And then I found an engineer, Phil Weinrobe, out of New York, who was just really into that process. And he's like, that's my favorite way to work. And we talked a lot about it. And a producer, friend of mine, James Henry Jr., who he was on board for that too. And then it was like, I mean, once I was focused in on that as a goal, I then, because effectively, man, that's actually what Vulf has done, okay?
Yeah.
Vulf has done that, but Vulf has done the live in the room thing with everything isolated because Jack does a lot of stuff direct. So he'll record bass direct into the board, right? Guitar direct into the board. Drums, 1 or 2 mics on the drums, kick, snare, super close mic. So there's no bleed.
Yeah.
And then you got Antoine on like a 58, which is also like basically no bleed.
Yeah.
You know, super directional mic.
Yeah.
So the Vulf thing is live in a room, but the tones are highly, and the tones are able to be manipulated in the mix from Jack's end. Yeah. And that's why it kicks ass. It's like this combination of like both live and studio. So I wanted to do the same thing, but because I had gotten good at that process via doing it with Vulf. So I thought I want to do that, but I want to do it like hyper intimate room picture. Right. And see what happens. So it's, in that case, like everyone is listening. There's no headphones.
So it's all Omni mics and shit, or what?
It depends.
Yeah.
But we are fully embracing bleed. So like the bleed is a character in the record. Where
it's like those old Sinatra records.
Yes. It's also like Let It Be. Yeah. The Beatles album. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's also like those old Beatles records. Like, like it's not just like, oh, this is some like sort of like, it's not so old school that it's like, I don't know. It's not just a jazz thing or a,
what did it teach you?
Well, it taught me like, first of all, you know, you have to listen on a way deeper level because you have to just like, be listening to what's happening in the room. You also have to be utterly, you have to commit. It's full commitment.
Right.
And you realize that like, if Jordan hits the snare too hard and it's going to blow out my vocal mic.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if that's the vocal
you could
take,
hear everybody.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. I highly recommend people record it this way I mean, in some ways it's like, you know, more expensive on the front end because you have to get everybody in a room together.
Yeah.
But what you get is you end up getting this like very tangible, undeniable vibe in the room where you're like, you're taking a picture, if you will, of the feeling. That's what like a microphone does, is it takes a picture of a feeling that was played through an instrument or a voice, right?
You can't play really heavier stuff, right?
Well, you'd have to have
Louder
a little more
stuff.
isolation if you wanted drums, if you wanted things to be very loud. But you know, you can do things creatively with baffling, like putting a baffle in front of the drum. So I've only scratched the surface of this process. I'd like to push it to its limit. See if we could do a Foo Fighters record in the house, you know, like that kind of thing, dude. But those guys, I'm pretty sure they record that way too. Yeah. There's nothing against having isolation. What is important to me, what I learned, to answer your question, is for me, if I'm going to capture the most potent Theo Katzman, then I got to be doing it live.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I'm in a booth live and there's ISO or whatever.
Right.
That's fine. But capturing a performance is sort of the secret to me into uniqueness. Right. Like, in other words, man, if I take the mic out every day, right, and I put it up on the drums and I re-mic the drums, I'm gonna get a new drum sound. I'm gonna get I'm gonna be using my ears. I'm gonna be dialing in, how do I feel today? Right. What's actually appropriate for this sound? I think I actually want it to be trashier, because actually it's kind of a trashy sounding song. You know, like, those are things that you end up being able to kind of like improvise with as you feel when you start to record, as opposed to if you just sampled everything and you cut and paste it. So I'm not knocking that, I'm not saying you can't make great art that way.
Just for you to make the best art, you're talking about how to make the best art you can possibly make and you feel comfortable with. Yeah. That's how you think you emulate the best of your abilities, right?
Yes, exactly. And I felt like we got something timeless because you put the lens on capturing a performance. It's sort of how, like, have you ever listened to old jazz records like Oscar Peterson or stuff like, or Coltrane? Like, it sounds completely contemporary. Have you noticed this?
Totally.
It's like the high fidelity jazz was like 20 years ahead of rock and roll. In terms of its actual crystal, beautiful, high fidelity recording. To where, like, you can't really date it. It's like, is this from today? What is this? It's just like a great recording. Right. And so that was my goal, is to do that. And I feel we accomplished that mission, you know?
Yeah. And the songwriting is just like, you keep getting step up, step up, step up. Like,
thanks, man.
Bo knows this. I've listened to your song, I Want to Be for Some.
Yeah.
It is so fun. It's my favorite song right now.
I'm so glad to hear that, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you,
man. The whole record's good, but I think you're striking a chord. You're finding yourself.
Thanks, brother.
And to hear that you're like working on your mental health abilities and doing the whole ice bath thing, I'm stoked to fucking be rooting you on, bro.
Thanks, brother. Man, me too for you, dude.
Yeah, man. We gotta kick it when we're in LA.
Anytime, man.
So you have how long's this tour?
The tour is 6 weeks, I think, total. So we'll go till about mid-May. Cool. And we end in Madison, Wisconsin. But yeah, for anybody listening, you know, it's the band on the record. Me, Joe Dart, Jordan Rose on drums. Joe's on bass, obviously. Dave McKay, who played keys on the record. Phenomenal keys player. And then Packy Lundholm, who's a guitarist from Chicago, who's sick, tremendous guitar player. And you know, Joe and Packy are singing BGVs, kicking ass. Oh yeah. It's really awesome. I'm just completely stoked.
Man, Dart's working hard. We just played with him at Jam Cruise with Fearless Flyers.
Yeah.
Just wild. I'm so thankful you have a dude like him to
Me too, man.
Be your backbone, because like best. You know, he takes the ego out of it. He's there for you as a friend and 100%. As a musician, and I'm ready to fucking see you take off, bro.
Thanks, bro.
I already see it happening, so it's gonna be amazing. So one last thing I want to ask you before you fly to Dallas. I see, even with a bus, you keep flying. Take a day off.
I had to.
Treat yourself.
I didn't sleep well the last couple days, and I was like, if I could get one. Well, we got 3 shows in a row, and I had the Southwest Points. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna
chill.
I'm gonna do this one. Yeah,
decompress. This is a long road.
Kick it with Frasco in the
I
house.
love it. When I got the email saying you want to come over to the house, I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
I love
dude.
it.
They built this house for Frasco.
Built this city. They built this city for ketamine. No, just kidding. All right, goals. Everything's in plan of how you want to see life. What do you want to be remembered by, Theo Katzman?
Oh man, wow! All the way to the deathbed, eh?
I mean, we've been talking about presents.
Totally.
Now we got to talk about the end.
Yeah,
it is the end of the show.
Well, I guess I would like to inspire people to really do the work they most feel called to do, and really sit with their pain in that realm and be able to face the real shit for them. So like, if my music can inspire people to do that, or my life, I mean, I'm interested in the Wim Hof method. I'm interested in other things that are not specifically music that I feel are healing. I'm really interested in like healing. Yeah. So I know that's a buzzword right now, but it's a buzzword for a reason. Yeah. We all need a lot of healing out here.
I agree, especially after like 3 years of sitting in your couch and overthinking. Yeah, man. What's been going on, we've been suppressing for overworking and
totally
living life.
Yeah, we were not built for that. We were built to be in community with one another, and that's our design. Right. That's our divine design, if you will. Yep. And so, as far as being remembered as somebody who lived a life that was oriented in that way, that works for me. I got, to see my father passed away in 2013, and he, when he was sick and at the hospital, they gave him this thing to fill out, which was like totally sort of funny on a level. It was like, anything you want to be remembered by? It was like a pamphlet. I mean, really? Yeah, it was out, because my dad, we had our own like personal, like just the family
conversations.
We had many, and it was like, that was profound and deep and life affirming. And I'll never forget those conversations. But so it was kind of funny to see him like write some shit down, because he was like, sort of like, what the hell's this? Yeah. You know what I mean? He was aware of the joke.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've already told my family what I have to tell. Yeah. What I have to tell a hospital.
But they said, like, any of the words here, what did you like to be remembered as? And he wrote, swell guy.
I love it.
Like, which swell is such an old school word. Like, oh, he was a swell guy.
You think your dad be proud of you right now?
I do, yeah. He was very proud of me. And I mean, my mom's been to some of these concerts, which is great. And I said, I think...
Did they go to the Garden? Your mom go to the Garden?
She did, yeah.
Sick.
And she's been to some of the shows on this tour, and I was like, you think Dad would like this? And she was just like, oh my God, he'd be completely over the moon, because my dad was a musician, and he was
classical or a jazz musician?
Jazz trumpet player, and he was in the Tonight Show band on the Carson show and shit. He did like a lot of high level stuff. But he was, he was a player. He was like a studio cat. He was not as much of a artist in the sense of like putting his own work out there. He did make some of his own music for sure, but he didn't like spend a career going for that. And so I know he was so like just blown away by me doing that, So I feel him with me. I got him on my arm here.
I love it.
Back of his bald head.
I love it.
Yeah.
Always thinking of him.
Yeah.
Well, keep finding yourself, buddy. Keep doing things that make you happy.
Thanks, brother. Same for you, man.
Appreciate it. And if you don't need a fucking manager. Unless he's the perfect manager.
Yeah. I thanks.
Okay. Don't just rush in because you're getting more successful.
Do you have one?
I do.
But I feel you like yours.
I love him.
So that's good.
I need a neurotic Jewish man.
Yeah.
Because I'm neurotic too, but he's way more neurotic.
Yeah, right.
So it's good.
I mean, to me, just to put this out there to life and anyone listening, it's like I'm not opposed to that. I actually feel like now I'm sort of becoming more keenly aware of where I do need help.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's about that. It's about like, hey, can I get the help that I need if it's the right fit? So I'm open to it. And cool. I think I would like to have that actually.
Yep. Well, go fuck them up out there, cowboy.
Thanks, brother. I love you, man.
Love you, Theo. Thanks, buddy.
Frasco, baby.